My dad had an affair with my mom's supposed best friend, Cheryl. 3 years ago, Cheryl pulled me, a teen male, aside and told me about the affair and that she wanted my help to make my siblings still love her when they found out. She was someone we were all close with. I'm the baby of the family and the favourite of everyone, which I don't see as accurate, but it's a bit of a joke, and I am the baby, so I do get people looking out for me more. This is something Cheryl tried to use to her advantage. She put me in the worst position by telling me about the affair because she hoped my siblings would love me too much to hate her if I told them not to. I was so angry at her and at Dad. I didn't want to be the one to tell Mom. I didn't want to see her break down, but I knew I needed to. Mom was furious, more at Cheryl for involving me than the affair at first. My dad defended Cheryl and said she'd known me my whole life and should be allowed to confide in me. It turned into a huge fight. My siblings hated them more for trying to involve me too. During the divorce, we all said we wanted to stay with Mom. The judge ruled I had to go to my dad's until I was a young teen, so I had to go to Dad's house every other week for 2 years. I made it my mission to make life harder for them that whole time. I refused to go along with the happy family crap they tried to pull, which only got way worse when Cheryl was pregnant and they wanted to do a pregnancy reveal with me in it, and I said no. After the baby was born, they thought I would soften and would want to know their baby, but I didn't. The last time I was at their house, Cheryl became pregnant again. After I turned the age the judge set, I stopped going. I refused to answer texts from them. I can't block my dad until I turn 18. My siblings have them both blocked and they refuse to engage with them. Cheryl and my dad's families are living closer to them now and both ask about us and why we're not around. Dad's family has tried to reach out and get me to reconcile, but I tell them it wouldn't happen and I hate my dad. Cheryl confronted me while I was at the mall the other day. She followed me into different stores and said I have 2 younger siblings I should know and that I loved her before, so I should stop punishing her and Dad and start being more respectful. I had enough when I realised she wasn't going to walk away, and I told her she was disgusting and repulsive for trying to use me to her advantage, a tween kid when she was having an affair with Dad. I told her I would never show her any respect and that she and Dad could explain to their kids why they'll never be part of my or my siblings' lives, but I'm not going to let them guilt me into anything. She's used Dad's phone a bunch since then and I got over 100 texts already. Mom told them to stop, and bullying a child after all they did makes them look even worse. The response was that I was a disrespectful child who should have been taught better. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. What the actual heck was Cheryl thinking? She's a homewrecker demanding forgiveness, respect, and understanding from the people whose home she wrecked? What a joke! Record everything in a book, including when they harass you in public, and everything on your phone, also backup if you can. Then, whenever you can, take it to the police for harassment. Having everything documented for however long you have to will make it easier for the police to help you. I'm petty, but I would make a public post explaining everything and tagging the whole family, saying to stop asking for reconciliation because it just ends up hurting you more, and that you can't block your dad yet, but you can block them. They deserve a lot of humiliation, and maybe it will be their reality check to know their place. The problem is their lack of respect for your parents' marriage. Your dad is way out of line to condone Cheryl confiding in or attempting to manipulate a child, trying to force a familial relationship, and bullying you. And Cheryl using your dad's phone to contact you can be seen as stalking before bullying. She was literally harassing you. Based on this, you can probably get an order of protection against her and your dad for harassment, since his phone was used, which you should do. The dad is just as disturbing. Saying his affair partner has a right to confide in a child because they've known the child their whole life, that makes it even more messed up. This is a child, not your bestie. But then again, she messed up her best friend's husband, so I can see why she's confused about relationships and what they mean. Truly a horrific human being who doesn't deserve a moment of joy or peace. I have never wanted kids. I was forced to watch my younger siblings, 4 of them, until I left at the age of 16. I greatly dislike babysitting and never had my own children. I've never been comfortable around young kids after that. My husband has 3 children. I met and married him when his kids were in their 20s. I'm not a mother figure to them, just their dad's wife. Overall, I get along well with the 3 adults. The problem started when my stepdaughter Kelly became pregnant. Everyone was excited for the first baby in the family. I made it clear I didn't want to babysit, and when grandkids were around, my husband was to be the main caretaker. My husband agreed. The first 2 years went great. My husband is an awesome grandpa and I'm fine being the relative who brings toys and other fun stuff occasionally. Kelly has been pushing hard for me to take up a more traditional grandma role. Her mother-in-law isn't involved, she lives a few states over. Kelly has gotten in her head that I should be babysitting instead of her father. We've talked to her multiple times. My husband is on a work trip and will be back next week. Usually he babysits on Monday, but he informed her that he won't be there, so it was cancelled. She stopped over and was dropping her kids off. I asked what she was doing since her dad wasn't there. She told me that I needed to step up and babysit. She doesn't care if her dad isn't here, I am present. I told her no. This went in circles for a bit and got more heated the longer we went. I told her I didn't want to watch any kids, including yours. She's angry. My husband is fine with what I did, but his other children are on his butt. So, am I the idiot? Edit, her own mother is dead. My husband remarried after her death. Not the idiot. However, this is not necessarily about who's an idiot or not, as I assume you would prefer to continue having good relations with her in the future. Have you described why you don't want to do it? I think if you frame it as you did here, essentially, I was forced to look after children when I was a child and ran away from home because of it, it's difficult to see how someone can still be angry. Sometimes in life, you need to pick between being ideologically correct and actually getting the result you want. Can you read? We've talked to her multiple times. There's no excuse for her behaviour whatsoever. The OP said no, told her why, and she still pushed it. That's on her. Also, I want to point out, nobody owes stepdaughter babysitting either. They are her kids, they are her responsibility. Why would you want to force your kids on someone who doesn't want to be with them? That's so bizarre. Because some parents don't like to be with their own kids, they pawn them off to whoever they can. The idea of parenthood is often a lot nicer than reality. Stepdaughter is outside her mind for thinking that you should be more of a traditional grandma when you weren't and aren't a mother figure to her. Moreover, asking someone who's made it clear they will not babysit to babysit is just lunacy. I can't imagine being a parent and willingly leaving my kids to someone who isn't willing to devote time and attention to them. It's not a safe environment. I, 45 female, recently got into a fight with my son, 22, about the fact that my husband and I allowed him to take out student loans to pay for his college when we are, in fact, very wealthy. To give some context, when our son was born, my husband and I agreed we wouldn't spoil him and keep our considerable wealth a secret. My husband is a lawyer and I'm a dentist. Despite our big house, we often told him we couldn't afford many of the things he asked for due to our mortgage or other loans we had to pay off. We didn't buy the used car he begged for on his 16th birthday because he asked us to pay for more than half of it. He had a job but always spent his money straight away. We wanted to teach him the value of saving. Over time, my husband started to feel guilty, and whenever I wasn't around, he would buy our son things he wanted without informing me. When our son graduated high school, he approached us and asked us if we could assist him with college tuition. I told him we couldn't help him due to our mortgage, even though we never had one. For 4 years, my son had to work through college, often sacrificing his social life. One evening after graduating college, he came to surprise us for dinner one night when one of our good friends was eating with us, and his father asked him about college and if he'd enjoyed his time there. He told him no, he never had the time due to work and studying, but didn't hold it against due to our financial situation. The friend then says, "Oh, I didn't know you were having financial trouble. What about that vacation spot you were going to buy?" Our son then looked up at us with a confused face and said, "You guys can afford a vacation home? How?" There was a silence as I looked at my husband, begging him not to say anything. My husband stupidly decides to admit to our son that I came up with the idea to conceal how wealthy we were and to force our son to work for everything he has, even though we could have made his life easier by helping out with tuition and accommodation and later his student loans. My son asked about our mortgage, to which my husband replied that we never had one. Our son then recounts all the times we denied him joy due to our inability to afford a vacation home and asks if it was all a lie. This was when I spoke for the first time and I said, "Yes, but I only came up with this idea so we could raise you as a humble person who knew the value of hard work." He drops his fork and tells me he never wants to see me again. He walks out the door and nearly slams it off its hinges. It's been 2 weeks now and he refuses to answer my calls. He does call his dad, but whenever I try to speak, he hangs up. I still don't think I'm in the wrong and don't think it's fair that our son still speaks to my husband but not me. Is it so wrong that we wanted him to be a hard-working person who knew the value of saving? So, am I the idiot? You are the idiot. There's teaching how to be financially sensible and know the value of money, but that's not what you've done. You've made him suffer through life when he didn't need to. How many times would an extra $100 a month have stopped sleepless nights? It's one thing to not buy a 16-year-old a car, it's quite another to refuse to help your child with secondary education when it's well within your means. Don't be surprised if this breaks your relationship. Can you even imagine? Poor kid didn't qualify for financial aid because of his parents' income either. Opie totally screwed him, and useless dad utterly failed him, buying him trinkets behind Opie's back while not standing up for something actually worthwhile. I'm not wealthy at all and had to save up considerably to pay for my daughter's college education. It's not spoiling them to ensure they have a bright future. It's an investment. Shame on you. I celebrated the 4th with my in-laws and they had a crab bake. I have a toddler and he's not picky at all. He really enjoyed eating the crab. My in-law got my son a bib and a little crab hat. My mom and sister have always been judgmental about my husband's family lifestyle. I ate most grilled cheese and cut up hot dogs at that age. I was also always forced to order from the kids' menu past the time I should have to save money. My mom had the idea of children's food versus adult food, so I wasn't allowed to eat anything she would call fancy. My husband was raised differently, and he was allowed to eat whatever his parents ate. His mom made one meal for all, so he could have steak, crab, and lobster if the adults were. My mother-in-law took many cute videos of my toddler because it was her first grandchild, and she was having a kick feeding him crab. Both had an amazing time. My mother-in-law posted her videos and my sister shared them, saying how it's wrong to spoil a toddler that age, and posted it in her mom group for thrifty moms, shaming me. My mom also had a lot of comments about it and blocked my husband and me from seeing it. She didn't block my mother-in-law and she saw it and was angry at my sister for speaking about her grandbaby like that. My sister and her child have a birthday coming up next week, and my husband refuses to let me take out my son. I decided not to go either after this. My mom and sister think I should get over it. The thing is, my husband and I were paying for the cake because both my mom and sisters were broke. He's now refusing to do that or get my nephew anything. My sister took to blasting us on social media again, calling me an ungrateful gold digger, and I'll get what's coming when my husband cheats on me and leaves me like men like him always do. Am I the idiot for refusing to buy my nephew a birthday cake after my sister and mom shamed me? Not the idiot. Got it. Your broke-down mother and immature sister who can't afford a cake for her child's birthday are jealous of your in-laws. Send something for your nephew and ditch the party. This poor child has nothing to do with his grandmother and mother's egregious behaviour. He's just a little boy. Off topic, but how hard is it to buy some cheap cake mix, frosting and candles? They can't be that broke to afford at least that. You and your husband are in agreement. They can bake the nephew a cake or come up with money to buy one. However, your mom and sister seem to be envious and it's destroying your relationship. Ungrateful gold digger. What exactly are you supposed to be grateful for? Your mom and sister are idiots to publicly insult you and then expect favours. They judge your parenting, shame you online, call you a gold digger, and imply that your husband will cheat and leave you. I would respond, keep going, you're really making me want to do you a favour. I, male 21, have been dating my girlfriend 20 for about 6 years now. She's amazing, hardworking, and incredibly smart. She's currently attending a community college and plans to transfer to a 4-year university next year. However, she struggles financially as her family isn't well off. I come from a more affluent background, and my parents have always been generous with me. I've got a great job and good savings. Seeing her work so hard and stress about her finances, I wanted to help. So a few weeks ago, I offered to pay for her tuition when she transferred to the university. I thought it was a good idea. I love her and I want to support her dreams. But when I made the offer, she got really upset. She accused me of thinking she was some charity case. She said that my offer made her feel inadequate and embarrassed about her financial situation. She told me that she didn't want to feel indebted to anyone and that she wanted to achieve her goals on her own. I tried to explain that I was trying to help and that I didn't see her as a charity case at all. I just wanted to ease her burden and support her in any way I could. A few days ago, we got into a big fight. She was venting about her college dues and I snapped and told her that if she wouldn't let me help by paying for it, then she shouldn't keep bringing it up around me. She got really mad and accused me of not being supportive. Since then, she hasn't been talking to me at all. She's been distant. So, am I the idiot for offering to pay for my girlfriend's college tuition? You are the idiot. Here's the thing. You're not wrong for offering to help her, and I'm sorry she perceived it differently than you intended. Once she declined, that should have been the end of it. Instead, you told her she was no longer allowed to talk with you about this issue, which is what makes you the idiot. Your partner wants to know she can talk with you about anything. I understand where you were coming from. You saw her complaints as problems to solve, so when she declined your solution, she lost the right to complain. But this is the completely wrong, and typically male if I'm being honest, perspective. She's not looking for you to solve her problems, she's looking for you to be emotionally supportive. Instead, you were the opposite. From her perspective, you completely rejected her request for emotional support. What? You have a solution staring you in the face and you won't take it. They've been dating for 6 years. This is what people do. People would be killing the guy if he hadn't offered, LOL. Also, that was an incredible offer on his part and she was a huge jerk about it. She is in no way wrong for rejecting his offer, but she's very wrong with the way she did it. What's wrong with some version of, "Thank you for your generous offer, but I'd rather pay for my own tuition"? And it doesn't sound like she's accomplishing anything if she's spending all of her time complaining.